I called. All right. So we've just kind of been talking for the past 15 minutes and just going over just kind of where we've been at. So we're starting week 3 tomorrow of our elimination plan. And Autumn, can you hear me okay? Okay, I see you there. You're on the second page. Okay, so basically what this group, and I'll kind of give you some backstory, which I told you a little bit about it before. So we did this group and basically we hand selected our diamond coaches, and we said, all right, we're going to be a test group, and we are a test group of about 130 women basically. And we said, all right, a lot of us haven't had completed an entire program in a while. We really got away from tracking our food and just being accountable. And we all got what we've learned is we really got bored with our challenge groups, right? We were not loving them anymore. We were going through the motions. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that we were kind of relaxed in our own journeys and our own fitness journey. And so we decided to do this elimination group for ourselves, but I think it made us realize so many more things. So we committed to starting with a week of a little obsessed, and then we were going to go into 3 weeks of 21-day Fix Extreme and follow the Fix Extreme nutrition plan. But a little obsessed ended up going for 2 weeks. So we're kind of split half and half. Half kind of went on to 21-day Fix. A lot stayed with the second week of a little obsessed, and they're all loving it and can't wait for the program to come out. So what we ended up finding is that there's a lot of curiosity around sort of this whole high fat, low carb nutrition and intermittent fasting. And so our group has kind of evolved into trying out intermittent fasting, but kind of keeping it within the 21-day Fix Extreme containers. It's been very interesting, and we've had a lot of good results. So it's been 2 weeks and it's hard, and we've, some of us have had some slip ups. Some of us have, lost some weight. Some people are stuck. But the point is, our goal of this is to recommit for 30 days, but then to sort of find balance. And I think that's kind of where our conversation has gone, is like, what does this look like for us long term? Like, what do we do after this 30 days is over? How do we keep this energy, and how do we keep our results, and how do we maintain? And so that's kind of where we are at. So we are really excited to have you on the call tonight to be sharing with us. And these are just all of our amazing leaders, and they've been rocking it. So I will let you take over if you want to go ahead, and I can unmute you. There you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me on. Happy to be on with all of you guys. So let me just sort of take this sort of in the same order as you went with. So you said obviously started it as an elimination diet. It's sort of transformed itself into a bit of an intermittent fasting group, probably with some other questions and ideas mixed in about all these different dietary theories out there. And there are a lot. Let me first just tell you guys, I'm not necessarily partial to one nutritional theory over another. There are hundreds, and everybody has bioindividuality, which means what works for one person may or may not work for another person. So when I speak about certain things, I'm sort of speaking broad spectrum, taking the general group into consideration when I say certain things. So I preface that to not offend anybody or anything like that. So I'm going to start with intermittent fasting really quick and just touch on that. Yes, there's a lot of studies and a lot of different, and you can hear both ends of the it's great for you and it's not great for you side. I sort of take the theory with intermittent fasting of this is it's a hard nutritional theory, okay? And what I mean by that is it's not normal for our bodies anymore to do it. We do a version of intermittent fasting as it is when we go to sleep. So everybody already does a version of intermittent fasting. Let's say you eat dinner at 7 o'clock, you go to bed at 10, you don't wake up till 6 the next morning. You've already gone almost 12 hours without eating. That in and of itself is intermittent fasting. It might not be 18 hours, but that is intermittent fasting, okay? And the reason breakfast is called breakfast is if you break the word apart, it's the break fast. It's you breaking the fast. That's what your body sort of needs, okay? So the reason I generally steer people away from intermittent fasting is twofold. It's very hard to do, okay? So let's say you eat all your containers in your 6-hour window. And then 3 hours, 4 hours goes by and you're hungry. You're kind of screwed. You have to have insane willpower to not go there, right? So I, as a health professional, don't love it because I've seen more people slip up on it than be successful with it. So I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm saying it's really hard, and you should know yourself and how your willpower works as one thing to take into consideration if you're going to do that form of nutritional theory, because you have to really be committed. Because the second you start going, okay, I ate all my containers in my 6-hour window or my 8-hour window, but I'm hungry, and you eat, you're now overeating. The second thing is that when you eat all of your containers in that short window of time, I obviously am a big fan of portion control. It's not ideal portion control. It can't be, because you need to get in enough calories in a short amount of time. So basically you're eating every hour or every 2 hours, which means a lot of food kind of has to go in at once, which means more than likely you're stretching your stomach out. So your stomach is the size of your fist. We're all different sizes, but it's the size of your fist. So if you put more food in there than that, your stomach will stretch, which means you need more food the next time to fill it up, which means you're going to be hungry longer. So let's say, you're eating your red, your yellow, your 2 greens, and you're getting all this food in. Your stomach maybe it's not a lot, but your stomach will have to expand to hold all that food in that short amount of time. And then you have to hope that your body is the body type that adapts to intermittent fasting, and your metabolism is the metabolism that works well with that nutritional theory and will stay sped up and not slow down. Because once your body adapts to this, and I eat all my food here, and then I don't eat for 12 hours, let's say you do that for a month or two, and all of a sudden you go, this just isn't working, I'm gonna go back the other way. There's a good chance you've slowed your metabolism down. Not saying 100%, because again, everybody's body works differently, and some people have great success with it, but there is a chance that will happen. So I just sort of like to put the education out there for you to decide what works for your body. So those are sort of things to take into consideration with that. And if it's working for you, fantastic. But if you find that you constantly keep slipping up, I would maybe advise to come off of that so that you don't spend your days beating yourself up like I failed. It just means that's not the right nutritional theory for you. So let's try something else. With that, actually, I was asked about the keto diet. I was on a coach call the other day, and I was asked about that. I was asked if 80-day obsession followed a keto diet. So because you were talking about high fat, low carb, I'm just going to touch on that one really quick too. Here's what I want to say. There's a lot of information, same thing about the keto diet. But keto diets are incredibly specific, meaning if you're going to follow an actual keto diet, that means you do not eat carbs. Like really, your carbohydrates come from your vegetables only. You don't eat fruit, you don't eat starchy carbs, you eat very high fat, high protein, veggies, and you don't touch carbohydrates, okay? After a certain amount of time, usually 10 to 14 days, your body will go into ketosis. That is a enzyme basically that your body is going to start producing to convert fat to fuel instead of using the sugars from carbohydrate as fuel. It's a great diet for people who have certain brain conditions. It's a great diet for people who have diabetes and need to control their blood sugar and that sort of thing. But that's because they follow a very real keto diet and actually go into ketosis. There are a lot of negative side effects with the meal plan. I will be completely honest. I've looked at all the research, everything from constipation to diarrhea to dehydration, headaches, nausea, blacking out. And then there's the other side of it. Again, if you have a medical condition that warrants it, that could be very beneficial. But for somebody who's using it strictly as weight loss because weight loss, again, it's one of those ones that's very hard. if you think about it, because we are surrounded by temptation on the daily. And to say, I'm never going to eat carbohydrates again, even though I can, is a very big commitment. For somebody who can't, somebody with diabetes, they can't have it. For them, it's life or death. That's not a real hard choice for them, okay? But for somebody who can, it becomes a very hard choice to stick with that forever. Then you see sort of, I know right now there's this big trend out there for the keto, they're selling like a shake. Okay, I'm just going to keep it really real for a split second, you guys, so I hope I don't offend anybody. It's bullshit, okay? Here's why. You're essentially putting speed into your body. That's really like what it is. If you can't drink a shake that puts fake ketones in your body, that's what you're doing, in case you're wondering. You're drinking a shake, it puts chemicalized ketones, ones that have been manufactured, not the ones that your body has created. It puts chemically manufactured ketones into your body to eat your fat. So people are going, oh, I do keto, I can eat whatever I want. No, you don't do keto. You do the I drink a fake shake and put poison into my body, let it eat fat, and eventually your body will adapt, and Lord knows what the ramifications will be, because I don't know that shake has been studied that much. So if you're doing a real keto diet just on your own, you're not supplementing, putting fake ones into your body, cool, go for it, all for it. Like I said, it's been shown to have some really great health benefits, especially if you have certain medical issues. But if you're putting fake ones in to get a quick fix, it's not real. Like we saw it with Xenadrine and whatever all the other pills were that people were taking for a long time that burned the fat, and it was great and everybody lost weight. I'm not saying you won't lose weight by drinking it. I'm just saying you don't know what the negative side effects are, and you're not really doing that nutrition program. So there's a difference between being skinny and being healthy, right? There's a difference between being skinny and being fit. You have to know which side of the fence you're on. If you want to be skinny just to be skinny, again, no judgment, that's fine, that's your choice. But to say I can eat whatever I want and not have to work out and be skinny because I'm putting this into my body, that doesn't make you healthy. What about your muscles? What about your lungs? What about your heart? It doesn't make you fit. It's not going to give you muscle definition. It's probably going to give you the skinny fat look where more cellulite shows up. I'm just keeping it real right now. So there's all these things to consider. I know we all wish we didn't have to go and sweat for an hour and eat our fruit and eat our veggies. I would love to eat donuts and pizza and drink wine all day long too. It's just not how it works. So there is a balance though, since that's what that sort of leads us right into the next topic, which is what is the balance then? And what should I really expect from myself? What should I really expect from my body? So you don't get stuck in this mind game of punishing yourself if you have a glass of wine, punishing yourself if you have a cookie or go out to dinner with friends. And there is a balance and it can be maintained, but it has to start with sort of knowing what your expectations are of your body and the way that it looks. You guys, there are times where I'm super shredded and there just are times when I'm not. And I don't have a problem with that or showing that, okay? Like these last 2 weeks, I've been doing a little obsessed, but I wasn't 100% on my 80-day obsession meal plan or anything else. I was eating healthy, but I definitely drank some wine, had a margarita last night, enjoyed a big fat donut on the set of A Little Obsessed on Saturday when they surprised us with it. I was like, yes, I'm going to eat the Boston cream. That's mine. Don't touch it. Okay, so there's balance. But within that, I just don't expect my obliques to be popping and my abs, my six-pack to be showing. Now, I don't let it spiral out of control, but I have a realistic opinion knowing, or a realistic idea knowing hey, I'm not eating 100% right now, so I can't expect to look the way I look when I'm eating 100%. Doesn't mean, and I'm just okay with that. So it's finding the point of being okay with that, and then also making sure it doesn't spiral. And that is the hard question, right? How do I not let it spiral out of control? This is where working your willpower comes into play. There's actually two types of people. Some are right-brained and some are left-brained in terms of like their stronger side. And I can't at the moment recall if willpower is a right brain or a left brain activity. But for some people, willpower comes very easy. And for other people, willpower actually comes very hard. It is like your invisible muscle. It does get worked, and so it does get tired. So during the day, when you first wake up, it's really easy to be like, I ate oatmeal and I ate egg whites and I ate veggies. And then by the middle of the day, it's a little bit harder to make that healthy choice of like some chicken and some vegetables and a nice, like a potato or something, but you do it. And then you get to dinner, and maybe even at dinner, you're still okay, but it's getting real hard to fight it. And by the time you sit down on the couch at night to unwind, you don't even realize that you just engulfed half a bag of potato chips and a bottle of wine. And you're like, what happened? It all went to hell in 20 minutes when I was so good for the whole day. Your willpower muscle did get tired. So for me, look, I have a few tips. I don't keep a bunch of junk food in my house. That doesn't mean I don't keep any, but I don't keep a lot. So like, again, if I don't have a lot, it can't spiral out of control very badly. I'll keep healthier versions of potato chips. I keep like one dark chocolate bar, like 80% dark chocolate in the house because it's so rich that I can eat like one little square of it, enjoy that, and be done. Or if I know there's a certain dessert I want, I'll make it. But I'll make it, I won't buy it because at least I know what's in it, right? Like there's plenty of Fix8 approved desserts at this point, and Bobby's made several more that are coming soon. So I can make that and be like, okay, well, I know what's in this, and I'm gonna eat it, and I'm gonna totally be okay with it, and then I'm gonna go about life, but I'm not gonna eat all of it. If I make a cake, I'm not eating the whole cake. I'm gonna eat my slice, and that's it. People have a really hard time wasting food. Okay, here, that's another one. I've learned this a lot with moms. How many people eat the kids' chicken nuggets after they make them? Throw them out. Throw them out. I know you're going to be like, Autumn, or put them in the refrigerator, put them in a Tupperware. You are not the garbage can. You are not responsible for cleaning their plate for them. And I know everybody's like, it's money and it's wasted. Okay, but we can look at the flip side of that and say, what about your health? What about the battle that you're fighting? What about the money that you're spending for something like Beachbody On Demand or Shakeology or whatever it might be, and you're investing all that money, but you keep undoing all of that work? Do you have a medical condition that all of us, like you keep sort of making your medical condition worse because you won't stop cleaning the kid's plate or making the dessert and eating all of it? Like, take it to the neighbor, take it to the friends, take it to the kid's school, put it in the office, like, have your little bit, but you don't have to have the whole pie, literally and figuratively speaking. So you can have balance. We're coming up on the holidays. We've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's and all of these things where it can get really bad really fast. Make sure you're getting your workout in every day. That's priority number one. At least you know you got your workout in. And when you get your workout in, you are more likely to eat healthier. That's just proven. How many people miss their workout, and on the day you miss your workout, you eat worse? I know. Trust me, I know, because I've done it. I've had a million clients that do it, and we're always like, why do we do that? Like, why, if I didn't exercise, do I not eat more healthy? I don't have an exact answer for it, but that's what happens. So make sure you're getting that workout in, because you're not going to want to undo that hard work. And even if you do have a little bit of a cheat or a splurge, at least you got up and you moved your body, so maybe you'll at least just maintain. You might not go into full weight loss mode, but at least you'll maintain. Thanksgiving, if it's at your house or you're going to somebody else's house, whatever it might be, you make yourself one plate. You guys, we get this crazy mentality of like on these holidays where it's like, it just turns into like a free-for-all. What night do you eat 3 plates of dinner? Any other day of the year? Never. You wouldn't do that. It wouldn't even cross your mind to. You know what? I know Thanksgiving food is delicious, but if you love it that much, make it again in a month. You can make yourself a small turkey. You can make yourself green beans. Fix8 cranberry sauce is a breeze to make. Takes 5 minutes. Like, you can make yourself those food items again. You don't need 3 plates of it in one night. Make one plate. Make sure you've got your vegetables. Make sure you've got your protein. Go easy on the mashed potatoes. I'm not saying you can't have it, but also pick. Are you going to have mashed potatoes or sweet potatoes? I know they all taste so good. Maybe you do a little bit of both, but you don't need a full serving of both. I know it's hard when there's 10 different flavors of pie lined up in front of you, but you don't need to try them all. You've probably had pecan pie and pumpkin pie and chocolate cream pie at some point in your life. You know what they all taste like. Pick one. And these are just the hard things that I don't have an easy way to say, do it like this, it'll be easier. All I can say is, this is what you do. You have one plate, you don't have 3. You pick one dessert, you don't taste all 10. If you're at my family, you need alcohol to survive, so you sort of account for that. And you just say, I make sure I work out really hard and maybe I eat a little less pie because I need an extra glass of wine to tolerate everybody. So again, it's just things that you be aware of. You get up the next day and you push play again. Drink water, lots of water, especially if you're not the one cooking, because people love to cook with butter and salt at the holidays. If it was my family, same thing, other than my brother anymore. If it's my dad, he's like, why are you making it like that? And we're like, Dad, come on. We don't cook with Crisco anymore. It's just not a thing. So if somebody else is cooking and you don't have control over how food is being prepared, same thing, make sure you're drinking enough water so you're at least flushing your system out. Maybe after Thanksgiving, if you do feel like you ate a lot, maybe you want a little refresh. Maybe you do the 3-day refresh. Or maybe after Christmas, or even maybe on, January 2nd, you plan for a 3-day refresh. It doesn't have to be this huge, long cleanse, right? But you could do a little 3-day thing leading up to, we've got 80-day obsession launching in January, whatever it might be, to start to get you into that mindset of okay, we're about to go hard on this. But again, if you're following Portion Fix or one of the Fix programs or really any of the programs right now on Beachbody, because they're all containerized, but Portion Fix specifically, that goes with 21-Day Fix and Fix Extreme, is designed so that you can enjoy life. I mean, literally, that was what I said when I did that. It was I don't want to take away. That's why you can still have wine. It's why you can still have dessert. So if you plan for it, if you know on Thanksgiving I'm going to eat X, Y, or maybe on Thanksgiving you do just say, throwing caution to the wind. It's the one day I don't care. Okay, fine, but stick with that. You can't say I'm throwing caution to the wind, I don't care, and beat yourself up about it later. That's not healthy. Okay, so when you do it, you enjoy it, and then you're just great, that's out of my system. Now I'm back on track. But you don't wake up the next day and sit in that regret of why did I do that, and self-loathing, because that just sends you into this vicious cycle, and it's not a healthy mindset to be in. If you're going to enjoy it, just choose to enjoy it. Eat healthy leading up to it so that you can enjoy it. Do it, and then be done. And again, if you know that you're the person who has trouble with food, if you know that you're the person that can't stop once you start, might I recommend you don't start that downward spiral. And I know that's harder, but until you get a stronger handle on it, it's better to not put yourself in a position where you can't back up out of it. If that makes sense. So is there, Melanie, do you want me to open the floor? Do you want me to open it up for questions? I would love to, however you want to do it.
Yeah, sure. So I think it's really good. One thing that I just want you guys to think about too is, I wrote this down, she talked about, Autumn, you talked about what are your expectations of your body right now. But I think even in our group, let's start a thread and just what are your expectations this week? Because it is a holiday week and we're going to just say, okay, what are our expectations that we're setting for ourselves? So I'll start that thread, but I want you guys to be thinking about that right now. One question that I know that Paula and I know somebody else had the same issue too. They have been on with their nutrition and they are not seeing any results. They're just struggling. And I know Paula teaches classes. And so, but I think, are you in plan A, Paula? Insanity and P90X classes, and I feel like she's in the lowest bracket. And we've kind of talked about like what to do, but she's really stuck.
Okay, so Paula, how often you're in Plan B? How often are you teaching Insanity and P90X? I'm just waiting for her to type, so it'll take us a quick second.
And I'm here. It's just
okay.
I have two boys going crazy around me, but okay.
No worries.
They may be chasing me. I teach 4. I teach Insanity twice. For example, this week was crazy. I subbed a couple more classes. So Insanity and P90X are classes that I can't just coach, although I do a lot of coaching.
I just want to know how many hours a week you're teaching.
Mm-hmm. So 4 or 5 at least, plus the workout.
Plus you're doing a workout on your own workout at home.
Yeah.
And then what workout are you doing at home?
The last couple of weeks I did a little obsessed.
Okay. So, and Plan B is your weight loss plan? Like, are you in Plan B from calculating from 21-day fix, 21-day fix extreme?
21-day fix.
Okay, because I asked because the formulas are a little tiny bit different. Not everybody knows that, but they're calculated just a little bit differently. Okay, so you're at a fairly large deficit in 21-day fix. So and you're in Plan B. I know it's going to sound super scary to tell you to actually try to move to Plan C, but here's the thing. If you do it, you got to trust the process. So we just went through this with 80-day obsession, and you guys will hear me talk about it a ton when the program comes out, and you can hear a lot of coaches talk about it. When we finished month 1, a lot of people had lost a bunch of weight and then stalled, which is natural. First of all, let me just say that you can't expect to just keep dropping 5-6 pounds a week or a month. Our bodies will go through an ebb and flow. That's just a safety protection mode that your body does. It loses some weight and then it's like, hey, am I cool? Okay, I'm good. I can lose a little bit more. Okay, I'm good. I can lose a little bit more. But if you've been stuck for more than 4 or 5 weeks and you're working out as hard as it sounds like you're working out, chances are you're under-fueled. And I know that's really, really hard for people to understand because they're like, wait, eat less, lose weight. And I'm like, sort of, but not really. You're eating enough that your body can hold on to what you're giving it, and it is. So you're eating enough in Plan B that your body's like, well, oh my gosh, I need all of this because I'm working so hard that everything you give it, it's holding on to and using as fuel so that you don't eat into your muscle mass, you don't fall asleep in the middle of the day, and things like that. You don't end up with headaches. If you bump up one bracket, let me just ease your mind a little bit. It's only 300 calories. I know everybody panics. It's only 300 calories. You could do that by eating a candy bar one day. And how many times do people do that? I laugh because people always give me a really hard time. Oh my God, you want me to bump up a bracket? And I'm like, you probably went out to dinner last night, ate a basket of chips and salsa, and it was 700 calories, and you didn't think twice about doing it. But I'm asking you to eat 300 really healthy calories a day, and you're like, panic. So try it, but you have to give it a solid 2 weeks, okay? Because at first your body's gonna go, ooh, more fuel, yay, I need this. And you might actually see the scale go up a pound or 2. It's not gonna go up 5 or 6.
Okay, so just, this froze.
I can hear
me.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so, and just do it for the week, not on the days that I'm teaching.
The whole week.
Up, and then other days that I'm not teaching.
No, that's
Plan B. Just
it's too much playing with it.
Plan C through the week.
Go consistent Plan C for the week. I want you to do it for 2 weeks straight and just see what your body does. And you can either message me directly or you can report to Melanie and she can tell me how it's going. But let's try it and let's see where you go. Because Insanity and P90X are no joke. Those are hour-long workouts, right? And then you're doing another 30 on top of that and just living life. Chances are your body needs more fuel. What else we got?
What else? What other questions, guys?
Sorry, it kept freezing, but thank you.
Of course. Yes, let me know. I'm going to look in the thread and just see if there's anything. Oh. Okay, let me see. So if you stick to the containers and work out 30 minutes and are at a plateau, do you suggest adding to your workout or adjusting nutrition to get past it? This is a question from Nicole that I saw. So she's saying, if you stick to the containers and work out 30 minutes and you're at a plateau, do I suggest that you add more to your workout or adjust the nutrition to get past the plateau? There's a couple of things, and everybody's very individualized on this. So again, I'm going to sort of give a couple of scenarios just to cover this broad spectrum. This is again, first, let me just start here, which is realistic expectations of what your body is supposed to do and what your body is supposed to look like. There was one person in my 80-day obsession group, love her, and I actually I'm going to tell you guys who it is because I don't think she'll mind. It was like a conversation her and I were having back and forth. It's Kim Lima. Phenomenal. Like if you look at her on Instagram right now, you're just like, dang, girlfriend did the thing, okay? She looks fantastic. There is like muscles everywhere and no fat left, okay? And she's like, oh, the scale's not moving. And I had to sort of tough love her and be like, where are you expecting it to go? You look fantastic. There's not really weight to lose unless you don't want to have the amount of muscle that you have, in which case stop lifting so heavy and drop down a bracket. But you look phenomenal, so I wouldn't expect the scale to move anymore. And that's one thing I want to point out, you guys, is that we really live in this society where, one, we get hung up with the number on the scale. And the number on the scale, depending on how much muscle you have on your body, can go up a little bit. Like me personally, I gained 4 pounds during 80-day obsession, which was my goal. I was trying to put muscle back on. That doesn't mean I look worse or I look 4 pounds heavier. I just put lean muscle mass on. So I can't be mad that the scale says 110 or 111 compared to 107 or 108. Like if you looked at me on day 1 and you looked at me on day 80, I don't think by looking at me you would think I weighed anything different at all. So 1, we can't get so hung up on the number on the scale. 2, we can't get hung up on this. We got to get out of this sort of body dysmorphia mindset of like, I got to be skinnier. I got to be skinnier. I got to look like the magazine or whatever. Most of those girls are airbrushed. I've watched them airbrush me in magazines and been like, no, I don't approve that image. Put me back the way I was. Like my waist doesn't look like that. Because people just keep doing this, and they're brainwashing us to think like this is real, and it's not real. And I'm the one who preaches like, I don't go for, like, people get mad at me when they, like, if I comment, I'm trying to think of the right scenario where it's happened. I guess people have asked me about being overweight or underweight, and I've been very honest that, you know, overweight is still overweight, and that's not healthy. And I'm not saying that somebody's not beautiful, but my job is to teach health. And there's an ideal weight for everybody. So I'm not one to say what somebody's ideal weight is, but if somebody came to me and was like, well, I'm 30% body fat, I'm like, well, that's not healthy. I want to get you to a healthy body weight because your organs need to be there and your heart needs to be there and your lungs and the diseases that go along with all that need to be there. But it's the same thing on the other side of the scale with being too skinny. That's also not healthy. We want to go to this ideal body place. And sometimes it takes a minute to figure out what that is. So that being said, what do we do if you're at a plateau? Well, 1, plateaus are normal. They happen to all of us. So you give it a couple of weeks. But 2, you have to make sure you're really actually pushing yourself in your workouts, okay? And again, this is something I watched a lot in the 80-day obsession test group, because I would have certain people crushing it and I would have certain people being like, it's not working, I'm not lifting, or I'm not moving anywhere. And I would start messaging with them and being like, well, what are you lifting? Where are you at? And these are people I know very well, so I know what their fitness level should be. And they would tell me what they were lifting, which was nowhere near enough compared to what they could be. Or when we would get into the conversation, they'd be like, oh my God, that workout took me an hour and a half to finish today. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? I didn't film for an hour and a half, so why did it take you an hour and a half to finish? Oh, well, the phone rang and the baby needed Cheerios and the da-da-da, and my messaging kept going off. And I'm like, you're not working hard enough. You keep letting your heart rate come down. You got to finish the workout in the time that you're supposed to finish the workout. It's one thing to hit pause if you're like out of breath and you like are gasping for air. That's fine. You hit pause, you catch your breath, shouldn't take more than 30 or 60 seconds, and you get back to work. But if you're hitting pause to go to the bathroom, and you're hitting pause to send a text message, you're hitting pause to get the kids Cheerios, you're not working hard enough. So be real with yourself and be honest with yourself about how hard you're working, because that is really important. Are you burning 100 calories or are you burning 400? There's a big difference there. And then with your nutrition, you can always check that too and say, am I eating from the top 1/3 of the list of all the food lists? Am I eating out too much? Because you might be eating all the correct containers, but maybe you're somebody who doesn't like to cook very much, so you buy prepared food or you go out for your meals. There's a lot more salt. There's a lot more preservatives, a lot more additives. I'm always blown away when we do the Fix 8 cooking show, because my nutritionist will bring me comparison facts. So like we were just shooting something and we this past week, Bobby and I were filming videos, and one of the new recipes coming is like a steak and cheese skillet. So it's steak and cheese and rice and veggies in a skillet. Okay. And we have our nutritionals. And so Paige, my nutritionist, says, okay, I have a nutrition fact for you. And she compares it to an almost identical dish. I'm going to tell you guys the restaurant that's served at like Denny's. Okay. Theirs is double the calories of ours, and theirs has more than one whole day's worth of sodium in that one dish. It's like over 1,200 milligrams of sodium in that one dish. So first of all, like, oh my God, my mouth gets dry thinking about that. But when you go out to eat, you're like, it's hard to know how much salt they're putting in your food. Like you might eat it and be like, oh, this is a little salty, but you're probably never thinking that's more than a day's worth of my sodium in one meal. Like that's a ton. That's going to bloat you to no end. It's going to make you feel horrible. Like, so if you're eating your containers, but you're eating them from restaurants, chances are it's not the healthiest version. It's going to be lower quality food. It's going to be more oil, more sugar, more salt, all that kind of stuff. So be aware of that. Adjust and make sure you're eating from that top 1/3 of the list. And what I suggest usually with this, make one adjustment at a time, because you want to know what adjustment was the one that worked, right? So if you're like, okay, I think I can push harder in my workout, try just that. Just try pushing harder for that week and see what happens. And if you're like, okay, well, that felt really good, the scale still hasn't moved, that doesn't mean the next week you go back to pushing less. You keep pushing that hard, but then you look at the nutrition and say, I'm going to up my water intake, or I'm going to prepare all my food this week instead of going out, or oh, I noticed I've been eating a couple of processed things, so let me cut those out this week and change it to something unprocessed and see if that helps. There's all these little adjustments that can always be made, and it's usually like I have to get in and dig for the nuances with somebody to figure out what it is. So you got to be really honest with yourself. Let me just say that. I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. I have a health coaching client that I'm working with, and I was working with her for 3 months, and she's like me. She's like type A. When she wants something, she just goes all in, right? So we start, she's in it. She's doing phenomenal. She's losing weight. She looks fantastic. She's still not totally thrilled. She wasn't totally thrilled about her results. And I was like, I don't know why, like you're doing great, blah, 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 blah. We start our next cycle of 3 months, because I work in like 3-month cycle with people. And we get on our call one day. And obviously it takes time for somebody to get to know me, get comfortable with working with me, open up about their life. And it finally comes out one day that there's a major eating disorder. She had been bulimic for 20 years, which we spent 3 months working together, and that hadn't come out. And she didn't really at the time think that she needed to talk to me about that part of it, right? Well, if the bulimia was over, she wasn't binging and purging anymore, but that had affected her metabolism quite a bit. So once that came out and we were able to start working through some of those emotional issues and what was tied into the eating even now and all of those things, we started making even bigger leaps and bounds. And the reason I tell you guys that story is there might be something emotional inside of you that you feel like you don't need to share with anybody. And that's fine. You don't necessarily need to outwardly share it with somebody, but you might need to get it out. You might need to journal about it. You need to admit if there's something going on emotionally that is maybe causing you to eat more or stress more, because so much is tied into our emotions. You know, if you're super stressed out, you're releasing cortisol into your body. There's just no way around that. So you might be eating perfectly and you might be working out constantly, but you can't help your stress level and the cortisol response is there. I can tell you guys, after we finished filming 80 Day Obsession, I went for 2 weeks. Like, I showed up at leadership and I was like, as felt as can be. And I was like, where was this during 80 Day Obsession? I was so annoyed. But it wasn't that I was actually like mentally or emotionally stressed. It was the physical stress of getting up at 5:30 in the morning, getting to set, going through hair and makeup. And then it was really hot in Los Angeles most of the time we were filming that. So we'd be under like 100-degree heat filming and there was no stopping, right? I had to talk the whole time. That was physical stress on my body that I couldn't do anything about while we filmed. But the second it stopped, my body was like, thank you, cortisol be gone. And I looked way more shredded the week after I finished filming because I was no longer under hot lights. I was no longer talking through my workouts and my body wasn't under the same physical stress that it had been under. So be aware of all of the things happening in your life, because sometimes it's not the food and sometimes it's not the fitness. Sometimes it's the emotional, and you have to acknowledge that. So many people keep saying it's the food, it's the fitness. And I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, I'm in the middle of a horrific divorce and like I'm struggling with money and da da da. And I'm like, it's not the food or the fitness. You're going through some stuff. Like, let's be kind to ourselves right now and just cut your body some slack and acknowledge what you're going through. So there's also that.
That is so true. I'd share with what you said about the cortisol in your stomach too. Like, that's where you hold it when you're stressed, is in your stomach too. So I think this is a good question. So Chris asked about the name of 80 Day Obsession and the word obsessed, and just approaching that with people that have a bad relationship with food. Do you have some suggestions for us?
I do, because when Carl told me that was going to be the name, I freaked out. And I was like, I hate it. I don't like it. I don't want it. And he was like, whoa, why? And I was like, you can't tell people to be obsessed about food. Like, that's just setting them up for an eating disorder. And that's setting them up for an exercise, like fitness disorder and da 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 da. And he was like, okay. And here's the way when he put the word obsession on that program, here's his mindset. And obviously I got behind it as soon as he said what his mindset was. He's like, Autumn, this isn't obsession in a negative way. He's like, this is finally giving people permission to be obsessed about their own health. And I was like, okay, I can get behind that 100%. And that's really what it is about. I say it constantly in the videos. It's about being obsessed with your own health, your own journey, your own fitness, your nutrition, self-care. We get stuck so often, and I'm sure there's mostly women on this call. There's probably men too, but like, I'm going to sort of speak more towards the women right now. We spend a lot of time taking care of everybody else. Okay, so we get up and we do for the kids, and then we do for the house, and we do for our significant others, and we do our job, and we do, and we don't give ourselves anything. And we feel guilty about the half hour or hour that we take for our own workout, or taking time to meal prep our own food, or the kids or your significant other makes you feel bad about the fact that you're actually cooking healthy food for the family. Like, we don't want this. It's terrible. You're poisoning us. And you're like, no, I'm taking care of us. I'm doing like what's right for us. So that is really what the obsession is about. It's about yourself, your health, and your journey, and knowing that it's okay to dedicate a little time to you. So it's not about obsessing over every calorie. It's not about obsessing over every container. It's about giving yourself permission to care for yourself. So once you say, I'm committing to this journey, you really commit to it, and you go all in with the intensity and mentality that you would go all in for something that you're obsessed over. Like, you can be like, oh my God, I'm obsessed about shoes. Like I love shoes. I could just look at shoes all day, right? Like, nobody would put really a negative connotation about that. are like, oh my God, like, when you see a woman who can't wait to have a baby, she's like, I'm obsessed with babies and I just want to hold all the babies and like see all the babies. So it's all about how you do look at that word. And if somebody has a little bit of a negative connotation with it, one, I would sort of talk to them because there's probably an emotional thing wrapped up in there. So they're going to need a little bit more than just here's the program and do it. They're going to need you as their coach to guide them and talk to them and break down some walls and be their friend and really be supportive and be there whenever they're ready to talk about why that word is negative to them. Why is it bringing up a negative feeling for them instead of like a hell yeah, I want to be obsessed about this and actually commit to it and finish it. So I would, if somebody's like, well, that sounds negative, I don't want to do it, I would just explain it like that and say like, I get where like the negativity could come in, but that's not really what it's about, and just explain how it's about just really giving to themselves for 80 days. And it's not that huge of a time commitment to give to yourself, and you deserve it.
I agree. I like it. I think that's perfect. And that's just something that's really good to, like, as we were talking about how to launch 80-Day Obsession too, just to make a video about that you embed into, on your Facebook page, into any blog post that you write. Like, it just really helps to explain that a little bit more as well. So
yes, those are actually coming because Melanie, I know you and I talked about that at Leadership. So those I'm going to launch. They will go on my website and onto Facebook, but I'm going to wait until a little closer just so it doesn't sort of get seen and then get lost. I'll probably do it about 2 weeks before the program comes out so that as coaches, you guys have that to use and grab and talk about and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Perfect. All right. We'll just do 2 more questions. So one of the things, so we've had Chris was on last week. We talked with Chris. And so we were talking about little like tricks and hacks. We've been talking about like bulletproof coffee. And so one of the things he was telling us was like this whole apple cider vinegar trick. And so a lot of people were like, oh God, it's so gross. Like, are there really benefits to it? So they wanted to know, what are your thoughts on this whole like drinking apple cider vinegar before you go to bed?
I mean, okay, apple cider vinegar is fantastic for your gut. Mm-hmm. So in that aspect, great. Most of our guts are completely out of balance and out of whack. And I could do a whole nother hour on your gut health and how important it is. And the fact that your gut is actually your second brain. It's where 75 to 80% of your serotonin is made. So your happy hormone. So if your gut's out of balance and you have depression, could be part of the reason. Your gut controls your immunity, your immune system. A huge component of that lies in your gut. So again, if you find that you're getting sick all the time and that sort of thing, chances are your gut health is off. Now, if you work in a hospital or you're around kids all the time, it might not be your gut health. But I'm just saying, if you're prone to certain things, it could be that your gut is off. So apple cider vinegar is a good component to your gut health. In terms of, people saying they drink it before bed for weight loss, I would need to see a study showing me that it actually works. I don't see that necessarily. Again, I'm not going to say no, it doesn't, because I haven't really looked at the research on that enough to know, like, has anybody really studied it, or is it one of those things that people have just sort of thrown out there as like a thing? I drank it a lot, like I said, teaspoon, tablespoon, when my gut, or when I thought my gut was out of balance, and it turns out it wasn't. It was just foods that I wasn't supposed to be eating. I was having inflammation issues, but it's not bad. Like, it's not gonna, here's the thing, it can't hurt you to do it. It tastes horrible, but if you can choke it down and you want to give it a shot, go for it. It's not going to cause any damage. I just haven't seen whether or not it actually produces results. Yeah. That's what I would say on that. I would go more with tips and tricks of like making sure you drink enough water, making sure you're actually sleeping at least 7 or 8 hours a night. Like, I can't tell you how many people are like, I get 5 hours. Why am I not losing weight? I'm like, well, because you haven't rested yet. Things like that are a really, really big deal. Making, like, even as I sit here and sip coffee, that's only because I have to go out tonight. My sister got me tickets to Kevin Hart and the show's at 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, oh, why did you do this to me? But you'd be shocked at how much caffeine people drink and how acidic and how out of balance your body has become, like re-alkalinizing your body. And you guys, it doesn't have to be with like all these drugs and supplements and all that stuff. Like, that's great. Drink water, put some lemon in there, eat your vegetables, cut back on the coffee. Like, those are the things that you really could be doing to boost yourself, get enough sleep, do your self-care. That's like such a big deal. Clear your mind. Like, again, the stress and the emotional stress. And again, we are at the holiday season. So let me just say that this is when you have to deal with family and traveling. And if there are any money issues and you got to buy kids presents and da-da-da, like, the stress level skyrockets. So if there is any little thing that you could be doing to reduce your stress, I have all these different like little meditations. I listen to them in my car. I don't close my eyes necessarily, but I will listen to them in my car to like sort of zen myself out. Because when I get home, I just, Dom's here and mom and da da da. So I'm like, I just do it before I get there. So at least I walk in a calmer state. Or if I'm going into meetings or something, like, I do it there. If I'm taking a bath, I'll play a meditation and just like lay back in the tub and listen to it. And it's not necessarily like a super owned spiritual meditation. That's not really my style. I listen to a lot of Gabby Bernstein. So sometimes I'm just listening to her talk. Like, I'm just like, oh, and every time I listen to something, it sort of resonates differently, and it like will bring up depending on what's going on in life. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not dealing with that. I really should deal with that. Like, oh, I didn't hear that last time because that I wasn't going through this. I was going through that. So doing whatever you can to reduce your stress level right now will be huge for helping you.
That's perfect. Yeah, and we talked to Melissa McAllister a couple of weeks ago too. And so we actually talked a lot about the alkalinity in your body. And so I think a lot of us kind of got the little strips. And it was very interesting to see how acidic my body was, like way to the far end. And a lot of people were too. And it just this past week was the first time in 2 weeks that I've been to an alkaline state. And it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work of like making sure my water was filtered properly, making sure I was eating the right fruits and vegetables. I did the research, added the power greens back in, drank the lemon water in the morning, and within a week it was back. But when you read all the benefits of being in an alkaline, like being acidic, there's so many health issues that can be a precursor to that. So it's been very interesting. We've learned a lot, you know.
Yeah. There is so much, you guys. I just want to say this, like, again, your health, unfortunately, it's not as easy as it used to be, okay? The more processed foods that end up in front of us, the more stress that comes into life, the more like lifestyle diseases that come up, all this stuff, okay? I know we all think like it just shouldn't be this hard. And the sad part is it really shouldn't be this hard. But it's like, it's gonna sound like a really funny example. It's like taking a drug addict and putting them in a room and being like, well, here's cocaine and here's heroin and here's marijuana and here's alcohol and here's these pills and here's these pills and here's these pills. And like, there's also some good vitamins over here if you want to take those pills, okay? I sort of feel like that's the world we live in with the food that is in front of us anymore. There's so much crap. It's really hard. Even when you think you're making a healthy choice, you don't even realize how you're not. Like, again, Bobby and I were making donuts on Fixate the other day. And again, we compared them to like the donut holes you would get from Dunkin' Donuts. And it was like, even though our calories matched up the same, ours had like 5 ingredients. Theirs had over 30. It was like animal byproducts and fillers and food coloring and just like, you think you're buying a donut, some flour and some sugar. And you're not. And you're putting all this stuff and all these toxins into your body. So the best that you can do for your health, not just your weight, your health, is to shop the outside of the grocery store, like the outside aisles, right? Pick the fruits, pick the vegetables, pick the lean proteins if you eat proteins, pick the beans, pick the legumes, pick the things that are recognized as food, that if you went out into a garden or to a farm, you would recognize it as food. Like a box of cereal is not growing anywhere. Okay? Like potato chips aren't growing anywhere. Make your own. Slice them thin. Drizzle them with olive oil. Bake them yourself. Like that is going to be the best way that you can take care of your health, and you can take care of the health of your family or influence the people around you. And I'd love to say it's easy. I'd love to say, oh, once you do it for a while, the temptation isn't there. It is. You just have to know what you want. And that really is, like, I know Melanie talks about it all the time, like, what is your why? But you got to get real specific with that why. You can't just say my why is to be healthy. What does that mean? What does healthy mean to you? You can't just say my why is to be thin or my why is to be in shape. Like you have to really dig in there and figure out what that means. Because when you're faced with that temptation, I want to be fit isn't going to stop you from eating the bag of cookies. Like, is there diabetes in your family? Like, is there issues of lifestyle diseases in your family? Not that I wish this on anybody, but have you been just teased and felt horrible about yourself, and you just don't want to feel that anymore? Not for them, not for the outside people that are horrible and made you feel that way, but for you. Like, what is it that will really stop you from picking that thing up and eating it? Just like an alcoholic has to figure out why they're going to stop drinking. I hurt my family. I hurt my kid. I was in a car accident. Like whatever they usually hit a bottom that makes them stop doing what they're doing. And you don't have that with food, right? There's no oh, I hurt somebody really bad with my food. So you're going to have to dig in there and figure out what it is that's going to stop you from all the temptation. And it's the same thing with your clients. Like when you guys are working with people and you are coaching and they do go missing a little bit, it's not about making them feel bad that they're not doing it, but it's about reminding them why they started. Like, hey, I'm here for you. And this is totally this is for you. So if you don't want it, that's cool. There's no pressure. But at the same time, when we talked, you said you want to do X, Y, and Z, or you want to feel X, Y, and Z. You're not going to feel it by running, so let me help you. And you guys, if you don't pressure, maybe they're that workout program wasn't for me. I couldn't do it. I felt horrible. Don't be we got to do it in order to be in the challenge group. Just give them a beat and be okay, well, why? Tell me why. And maybe they just don't do a workout program for a minute. Maybe they do some yoga. Maybe they do some stretching. Maybe they really need more of their focus to be on food and nutrition and the container system or something like that. Or maybe that's just too much at once and they're okay, well, let's just start with Shakeology. Maybe we can work on those cravings a little bit. So if you find that somebody's running, back it up a step and really do what our coaches are supposed to be here to do, which is to be there for them and really coach them on their health and fitness journey. And not just oh, I can't get a sale out of you this week and I'm not going to hit a Success Club point, so you're not going to be my priority and I'm going to turn to the person who is. Because that's not really what it's about either. You really have to be there for them and to help them. And when you notice they go missing, you guys, I have it happen with clients all the time. And I'm where are you at? What's going on? I know something's up. Let's talk about it. That's what I'm here for. That's where you have to go with them. And even with 80-Day Obsession, when you get them doing that program, trust me, they're going to start it and they're going to want to run. And you're going to, because it's going to bring up all these things, right? Usually doing stuff like this brings up all those icky feelings of childhood or whatever that has just gotten in your way. Help them deal with that. I'm not saying you have to be the psychiatrist, but just help them know that that's okay to have those feelings and all of that stuff and guide them to where they need to go with their fitness and with their health, and just know that that really is a journey and not just well, I got them for 21 days. Here you go, do your program and bye.
I agree. So many good stuff. I hate that we have to like wrap it up because it's like 10:15 already.
I know, you guys, I'm rambling all over here forever. My sister's probably waiting for me to leave for dinner.
Well, we honestly, we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for giving us great knowledge. And I know there's lots and lots of questions that we didn't get to, but we appreciate it more than anything that you gave us our time. And we're excited for 80-Day Obsession. I think everybody in here is like a little obsessed with like this huge tease, and we're like, it's awful though. Now we have to wait until January to do it. So, but it's been really, really good and lots of good things to think about. So thank you so much. And I think we're armed and ready for an awesome Thanksgiving week. And we've got 2 weeks left in this group. So we're super excited about it. So, all right.
Go get them. Happy Thanksgiving. And I'll talk with you all soon.
All right. Take care. Have fun tonight. Bye. All right, guys. So we want to take a quick picture because I know that's kind of been our tradition and we should keep going. So, all right. Ready? We have to do it in threes tonight. So, oh, sorry. I don't know what I did. Here we go. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's number 1. Oh, we only have 2. People keep leaving. All right, here we go. And second page. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, guys. Any other questions? Thoughts? All right, so I'm going to post that little like question, like what are our expectations of this week? And what do you guys think? Do you think we should just kind of let it be like, I think Thanksgiving week, we should just say, all right, whatever you want to do is perfectly fine. Like it needs to be your week. It needs to be your decision. I think it needs to be just like you kind of take that ownership and say, this is how I want to spend my week. Does that work for all of us? Like we're all cool with that kind of being what we do for the week? Yep. Okay. All right. Nobody will be mad if you have a glass of wine. Nobody's going to be mad if you eat the stuffing. Like, I think we just like own it. You don't even have to, like, I don't want you to over explain yourself. I want you to be like, this is what I chose. This is what I'm doing. I crushed my workout and here's what I did. And that's how we do Thanksgiving Day. All right. So we're just going to rock it and do whatever we want to do. And we want to feel good about it. I do not want anybody to be like, I hate you, Melanie. You make me restrict everything. And I don't want it to be like that. I want this to be something that we really enjoy. So that'll be the game plan. All right. I got on a few minutes late. Did she talk about fasting? A little bit. I think she really doesn't agree with it, but also her window was really short, like 6-hour window. And I was like, oh, hell no. I do like 8, 9, sometimes 10-hour windows. So she just didn't love it. And I get what she said about the whole eating really large meals. So I think you'll have to go back and like listen to her sort of beginning point, but I also think we're kind of doing it a little bit differently too. But hope it gives some of you permission. If it like doesn't work for you, I really liked what she said about what is your nutritional theory. And I thought to myself, I'm going to actually use that with my challengers. Like I'm also thinking about each one of you and like your nutritional theory might be 21-day fix, like portion fix. Some people might be intermittent fasting. Like I think we all have to say like, if this is my nutritional theory, that's what I'm going to kind of stick to. And it has to be based on your body and how your body responds. Right. So I think some of us are responding really well. And then some people not so much. So, all right. I mean, I'm going to keep doing my thing, Teresa. I'm not really going to stop anything because it's only been a week. So I don't feel like I've given myself enough time to really have an opinion. Like she says, like anytime you change something, you really have to give it a good 2 to 3 weeks. I think once you get to 2 to 3 weeks and you're like, this doesn't work for me, then that's when you realize that it's not your nutritional theory. So yes. All right. Okay, guys, go have a really, really good night and make sure we get some sleep. Keep up with that, and I will see you guys later. All right, bye, everybody.